let's please welcome Scott Beckner, Senior Environmental Scientist for CalRecycle, who will provide an overview of the deployment and policy drivers of anaerobic digestion for the management of urban derived organic residuals and renewable power generation in California. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. Who here has not been to one of these events before? Me included. We've been able to send my previous staff, Jacques Franco, for the last 4 or 5 years, and he usually gives a version of this presentation. I'm giving pretty much his presentation, but I've customized it a little bit with some updates. So here we go. So first I want to set the stage, and I may be preaching to the choir here, but we have some big problems in California, in the world really, of waste management. We have cheap landfilling. We have cheap gas right now, and we have really cheap natural gas. And these are all problems for these facilities and for renewable energy in general right now. So with that kind of context, I want to jump into the situation in California in terms of disposed waste. We're still disposing 30 million tons of MSW in landfills. That was in 2013. 72% of that-ish is carbon-based, and we figure about 28-30% of it could be digested in anaerobic digesters. And then, this is 5% of California energy demand potentially, 10% of crude oil demand potentially. So these are really big numbers. This is again the whole realm of things we're disposing of: inert glass metals, plastics, etc., etc. Non-digestible organics are the tree material, woody biomass, things like that, and then digestible organics. Again, this is grass, food waste, etc. So another show of hands, maybe I could skip this. Who doesn't know what anaerobic digestion is, or why it's important, or how it produces methane? Cool. All right. Let's go through this. So, methane, explosive, also a really potent greenhouse gas. I have a feeling this is photoshopped. I don't know if this is a real picture. But so if we can capture this, not this way. I don't recommend doing this, but if we can capture the methane and turn it into bioenergy, biofuels, that's ideal. This is what an 80 system schematic looks like. I'll skip that. So this is a 2020 theme. Looking backwards, we've gone this is kind of an old slide, but in the last 3 years, we've over doubled the amount of facilities that are operational and greatly increased the amount of facilities that are actually in permitting and construction. So we're really excited about that. So policy drivers. I'm really going through this here because I'm the last speaker. AB 32 and AB 341 and AB 26, Nick Lapis went through and gave my presentation for me. Thank you, Nick. The key here is we're kind of trying to fight the low landfill tipping fees, the low prices of fuel, the low prices of energy in general, by incentivizing in different ways getting materials, organics, out of the landfill. 1826 is huge. Mandatory commercial organics recycling. If we can just getting the material separated in the first place is a big step. Nick talked about a potential, Nick talked about the ADC, green waste ADC ban, which is also going to be huge. It's going to get a lot of materials out of landfill and help make up for that discrepancy in how cheap it is to landfill. And then we've got some renewable energy programs like the low carbon fuel standard that pay credits for producing renewable energy, renewable fuels from these materials. Renewable CNG from AD of food waste is a negative carbon intensity fuel. It's the only negative carbon intensity fuel. That means that if businesses start using this instead of fossil fuel, it is a de facto carbon sink. I mean, this is huge. Different programs from CEC and CPUC that are trying to put a premium on making sure that we can pay more for these renewable energies, because let's face it, humanity is such that we're probably on the whole, on the big picture, not going to pay more for something that's better because we just don't seem to think in the long term. It's sad. This group of people here is so inspiring, and it's a really I wish that more people thought like this. And this event has been this is really great to see all the stuff that's going on, the Rim Carbon Project and everything. But so hopefully with these, and we're constantly working with CEC and ARB and CPUC trying to carve out pieces of these monies for the organic diversion of organic waste. So you guys are probably familiar with most of these. What I'm going to get into right now, instead of these slides, is talk about our current grant programs. CalRecycle, as Nick mentioned, we 4 minutes left, great. We were able to get $25 million carved out of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which is monies that were raised by cap and trade allowance auctions. With that, we have a $15 million grant program targeted to organics diversion. And so in the last fiscal year, we were able to award 5 grants, 3 of which are AD facilities. And we're really excited about this because we only had, before this we only had 8 facilities. We're gonna have probably 14 when these are all built in the very short term. And it's just one of those kind of perfect, ideal things for my opinion on ways to manage our organic wastes. But anyway, so we'll click through these. So what we're seeing in successful AD facilities are location, co-location. This is huge. Successful facilities seem to have the ability to sell their renewable power to somewhere nearby, like for instance East Bay Mud. They're able to use a lot of their renewable power that they're using on site because it's an energy intensive process. So they burn the methane to create their renewable electricity. South Area Transportation, Clean World Partners, they have fleets coming in and they're fueling the CNG fleets with their fuel, which is another ideal situation. And so this is the kind of co-location, location. Adequate feedstock agreements. The facilities that come to us that have a great idea for an AD facility, if they have feedstock agreements and they have partners to get the feedstock from the day one, they're going to be successful, it seems. The ones that kind of are not doing so well are still, they don't have that from early on in the process, and they're still trying to figure out the ideal feedstock for the digester. But ideally, you'd figure out what feedstock you have and choose a digester technology based on that. And then finally, ability to produce marketable co-products. Compost, so you can take the digester, compost it, and sell it to compost, land apply it, maybe a marine carbon project tie in here, and then fertilizer with some of the liquid digesting. How many? 2 minutes, great. I wanted to plug a few very important events that are coming up. On Thursday, we're going to be discussing the future of the grant program. This next fiscal year, we're betting on having at least what we had last year, which is $25 million. We may get more. And so we're thinking about expanding it a little bit. So we're going to be tossing around some ideas at the workshop. So you're all invited, of course, if you have any opinions on that. And I'd love to talk to you separately if you're interested. And then next week is the 75% State of Recycling report event. And so we'll be rolling out our it's a report about the state of recycling in California. And it's going to be pretty important. And I think it's I don't have the date off the top of my head. 24th, thank you. We actually moved it. It was going to be today. But, woo! Great. Yeah, I think we've tried to webinar everything we can, and of course, being in the room is always nice. But so I just want to plug the summary. We're increasing the number of projects. Seems to be a healthy industry so far. We're of course still in infancy. There's only a little bit less than a dozen facilities, but we're excited about the future. Each one is driven by its own set of circumstances. That's huge, and the benefits are just outstanding. So sign up for the listserv. We send out information on this realm all the time. And then here's my contact information. Thank you.
be bashful. We got time for questions. Great.
Is it the CalRecycle's opinion that anaerobic digestion is superior technology to composting?
They're not competing technologies. So the question is AD superior to composting? The answer is, we don't have a position on that. In fact, they work together. You can have an anaerobic digester working directly with a composter. The digestate goes to the composter. Materials that aren't ideal for that digester can be diverted directly into the composter. And in fact, a lot of the GHG benefits that we are able to quantify for AD have to do with what the digestate's doing afterwards. So it's a great synergistic relationship. They don't compete, and we're hoping that they work. They're just kind of a perfect relationship.